Hey everybody, and welcome to this video blog from an emerging cloud. In this video blog, we're going to talk about an issue that actually can even trip up seasoned system administrators and network IT guys, and it has to do with networking and how networking works in an Amazon Web Services environment. So we start with a scenario where on the left-hand side here you see we have an Amazon Web Services VPC, or Virtual Private Cloud. And inside this Virtual Private Cloud, we have configured a server, and that server is granted an IP address according to the subnet that it's attached to, and this we're not going to get into all that in this video. But the main thing to realize here is that we are in a virtual private cloud, and we want this server to get to the internet. Now, there are a couple of challenges here. The first one is that by default, all of the addresses that any Amazon virtual machine instance gets is going to be non-routable on the internet. Meaning, even if this server was directly connected to the internet, it wouldn't be able to communicate with servers across the internet because it's trying to do so from a 10 dot address or whatever you've configured your VPC and subnet to give out. The other problem that we would have is that there is no connection to the public internet. So even if there was a routable address, these are two separate environments. We have a public internet and a virtual private cloud, and so they're not connected in any way. So there are a couple of ways that you can actually address this issue. So the first one is by establishing a NAT gateway. This can either be done via a specially configured virtual machine instance configured for NAT gateways, or Amazon now allows you to configure a cloud-based NAT gateway, which is really a better deal since you don't have to worry about bandwidth and running specific EC2, like sizes of EC2 instances and those kind of things. And the way that a NAT gateway works is that it essentially is going to have two different network connections, one to your internal private virtual private cloud network, and the other one that is accessible to the public internet via some mechanism. And we'll talk about those mechanisms later, but for right now, just to keep it simple, this is how it works. And then you would then the NAT gateway is on each side, depending on which side of the gateway you're looking from. On one side, it has a 10 dot address connected to one network card, connected to one virtual network card, and then on the other side, it has a public routable address connected to the other virtual network card. And then this allows this server to connect to the internet, assuming the network that the NAT gateway is connecting to on the right-hand side of the diagram also has connectivity to the internet. And so traffic can go back and forth, and then the NAT gateway serves as a router between the VPC and the public internet. Now, the way that this actually works is that you've got to have some kind of internet gateway established between a VPC and the public internet. But you don't actually have to have network address translation set up in order for this server to get out across the internet. You can take the VPC that it is connected to and connect it to an internet gateway. Now, the network itself then is connected to the public internet. However, the IP address of the server that you're connected to is still routable. So even though we now have a path to get to the internet, we would still be blocked because of our 10 dot address that exists on our virtual machine instance. And thus, communication wouldn't happen. Well, the way that Amazon allows you to get by this is by assigning a cloud-based public IP address. And what a cloud-based public IP address is, this is a service that Amazon provides that actually gives this virtual machine instance a public address. Now, this public address isn't actually on the server itself. If you went to your server and looked up your IP address, you would see the 10 dot address. You would not see, in this example, the 54 dot address. So what happens is that this public IP address service that Amazon provides actually functions very much like a NAT gateway. in that the server, the 10 dot address, can communicate with traffic across the 54 dot address. And then the 54 dot address, since it's now a routable IP address, can communicate across the internet through our internet gateway. And so if you want to connect a server directly to the public internet, for example, you're setting up a web server or what have you, then these are the pieces that at a minimum need to be in place in order for both this server to get out to the internet, which you could accomplish via NAT gateway, as well as for people on the internet to get back to you, which you have to have the internet gateway and a public IP address in order for this to be accomplished. Now, a lot of times it's easy to missteps when you're configuring Amazon VPCs, and especially if you do them over and over again, it becomes automatic, and sometimes becoming automatic means you forget a minor step. And so it's not an uncommon occurrence for someone to configure a VPC, connect servers to it. The server gets a private IP address. They then allocate a public IP address to this server. But because they failed to establish an internet gateway between the VPC and the internet, even though you have a routable IP, if there's no highway to drive on, it doesn't matter that your car works and could get from point A to point B. It has to have a road. So again, in order for this to work, both the public IP address and the internet gateway have to be in place. If you try to configure, if you just configure an internet gateway, the instance will not be able to get out because its IP address is still non-routable. And if you just configure the public IP address, it won't be able to get out because there is no path to get from the virtual private cloud to the public internet. So, hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time on the blog.